Annual Report 2022 to 2023. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end, said Abraham Lincoln. Yes, the race for excellence has no finish line. Maintaining its position as an iconic institution in Bangalore, St. Joseph's Boys High School has, in its relentless pursuit of excellence, achieved remarkable respect and recognition as an institution that not only upholds both academic excellence as well as character formation, but also the vision it has of contributing towards the future of society. The terms Ignatian pedagogy, Jesuit education, and holistic development quite simply explain the high watermark of holistic education here. The global impact of our alumni in every corner of the world reflects the foundation they received here and the ethos of this great institution. Enthused by the spiritual vision of their founder, Saint Ignatius of Loyola, and directed by the ethos of looking after the lost, the last, and the least, the Jesuit fathers continue to profoundly influence the thought and character not only of every Josephite but also of society at large. Nurtured by the motto faith and toil in a healthy environment of all-round development, every student who steps out into the world does so with confidence, shaped by holistic learning that has nurtured out-of-the-box thinking and promoted secular thought. We welcome you to join us as we highlight some of the major events of the colorful mosaic that has formed an integral part of the academic year 2022 to 23. We give thanks to God for His merciful blessings and rejoice in another year of academic excellence with 100% results in ICSE and 99.5% in the ISE examinations in 2023. Congratulations on the tremendous efforts of students, parents, staff, and administration throughout the academic year. In the ICSE exam, 262 students appeared for the exam. 214 students secured distinction, 41 secured a first class, and 7 students secured a second class. The ICSE toppers are, in first place, Rehan Joseph Matthews with 98.83%. In second place, Adam Aftab Tamboli with 98.5%. And in third place, Shishir Hande Handattu and Naman Agarwal with 98.17%. The toppers, according to the national ranking calculating the overall percentage of English plus the best 3 subjects, are Rehan Joseph Matthews and Naman Agarwal in first place with 99.2%, Adam Aftab Tamboli and Ashrit Pupala in second place with 98.6%, and Shishir Hande Handattu and Poojan Jain in third place with 98.4%. In the ISE Science section, out of 64 students who appeared, 48 students secured distinction and 16 students secured a first class. The school toppers, according to the overall percentage of all 5 subjects, are Shreya Srivastava in first place with 96.6%, Kinshuk P ranked second with 96%, and Harshit B ranked third with 95.4%. The toppers, according to the national ranking calculating the overall percentage of English plus the best 3 subjects, are Rehan Hassan in first place with 98%, Shreya Srivastava and Kinshuk P in second place with 97%, and Srushti S in third place with 96.25%. In the ISE Commerce section, out of 136 students who appeared, 126 students secured distinction. 7 students secured a first class, 2 students got a second class, and 1 student got a PCNA. The school toppers, according to the overall percentage of all 5 subjects, are H. Antonius Godfrey in first place with 96%, Tanmay Dasika in second place with 95.8%, and Rahil A. Shah in third place with 95.4%. The toppers, according to the national ranking calculating the overall percentage of English plus the best 3 subjects, are H. Antonius Godfrey in first place with 96.5%, Rahil A. Shah in second place with 96.25%, and Sneha B. Shivashatte in third place with 96%. Change is inevitable. Change is constant, said Benjamin Disraeli. In a beautiful program, the school bid farewell to the outgoing Vice Principal, Mr. Uday Kumar, and welcomed the new Vice Principal, Mr. Brian McCurtish. The offline 2-day informative and unique staff orientation saw much joy and camaraderie. Father Cedric Prakash, SJ, a skilled resource person, delved extensively into the subject of social analysis in the context of teachers being the torchbearers of a constitutional democracy. There are only 2 lasting bequests we can hope to give our children. One of these is roots, the other wings, said the German poet, scientist and statesman Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. We were more than happy and breathed a sigh of relief when offline classes began in the new academic year. Seeing the children running around in excitement and the sight of the school buses after 2 years of empty corridors and silence was a joy. An orientation program for the parents of the newly admitted LKG students was held. Dr. Debmita Datta, a parenting and wellness consultant, was the resource person. Miss Odella John, resource person for the orientation program for students in grade 11 and their parents, made an informative presentation on empathetic communication. Go forth and set the world on fire, said the great visionary St. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Society of Jesus, who is the inspiration and force behind the extraordinary selfless work of the Jesuits. It is his guiding principles that motivate the staff and students to follow in the footsteps of the Jesuits, seeking majus or more in all they do. The year being earmarked as Ignatian Year was especially significant. The SJBHS Campus Ministry organized Inigo Fest with a creative writing competition and an online quiz competition for the staff. A special assembly focusing on the Ignatian way of life, his work and his principles was conducted by the pre-primary school. The special guest was Reverend Father Oswald Mascarenas. A Eucharistic celebration was conducted in the school chapel, followed by refreshments. It is dangerous to make everybody go forward by the same road, and worse to measure others by oneself, said St. Ignatius. About 1,000 plus participants took part in the 6th edition of the Science and Technology Fest Transcendence. The chief guest of the opening ceremony was Dr. Sumati Surya from the Raman Institute, and the chief guest of the closing ceremony was Mr. V. Vasudevan, who delivered a speech enlightening the audience on robotic surgery ecosystems in hospitals. A 3-day intra-school science fest Ukrainian conducted by the Science Department of SJBHS unearthed the hidden creativity and fostered the quest for knowledge through a host of events to enable the students to bring out the best in their scientific exploration. 4 eminent speakers took center stage in a panel discussion that exposed the students to the world of physics, the world of mathematics, the world of biotechnology, and the intricacies of drug design for medical cure. The Middle School Science, Math and Art Fest Infinity 2022 was themed Only One Earth and showcased prototypes, charts, and models that were innovative, creative, and pioneering. The artwork as well as the models were based around the preservation, restoration, and conservation of Mother Earth. The 6th edition of the International Commerce Fest by Frost was conducted in a hybrid module. With over 30 plus online and over 400 plus offline participants, the fest was a grand success. Major Alvin D'Souza and Mr. Ullas Kamath were the chief guests of the opening and closing ceremonies respectively. Dr. Sandeep Ananthanarayanan was the speaker at the webinar. The fourth season of the much-awaited music competition Cadence saw an overwhelming response, with 32 schools registering for the competition. The chief guests were Dr. Maya Mascarenas, the founder of Bangalore Children's Choir, at the opening ceremony, and Mr. Alfonso Tagliaferri, Consul General of Italy in Bangalore, at the closing ceremony. After 2 years of the pandemic, all schools in Bangalore were impatient for the hugely popular fest phenomenon, which truly lived up to its reputation. Singer Zayden took center stage on day one of the fest, and DJ Julian Jordan from Holland rocked the evening on day two. The 10th edition of SJBHS MAN, an inter-school model United Nations conference, met with resounding success. Akim Burkhardt, the Consul General of the Federal Republic of Germany in Bangalore, was the chief guest. 217 participants from 9 schools participated. The young, fiery delegates engaged in 3 days of debate, youthful deliberations, negotiations, and diplomacy, proving that the power was indeed theirs. The OBA successfully conducted the OBA Buzz. Held after a hiatus of 3 years, the competition saw a record number of participants. The OBA Managing Committee 2021 to 22 has installed a rolling trophy from this year onwards for the OBA Buzz. Booker T. Washington, an American educator, author, and orator, said that excellence is to do a common thing in an uncommon way. The school reveled in its various achievements. The guidance of the Jesuit administration, the combined efforts of the staff, students, and parents, and the support of well-wishers saw to it that St. Joseph's remained at the top where it rightfully belonged. The school rejoiced with pride and jubilation at the news that SJBHS continued to be ranked number 1 in Karnataka and number 4 in India in School Rankings 2022 by Education World. It is indeed a feather in our cap and a time to appreciate the captain of our ship, Father Sunil Fernandez, who has led the school in an exemplary fashion and taken it to great heights. The school appreciated and rewarded its high achievers on Annual Prize Day. Reverend Father Joy Rodriguez, SJBHS Secretary and Treasurer, was the chief guest. The school hosted the CISCE Regional Pre-Subroto Cup Under-17 Football Tournament 2022 and was crowned champions for the second consecutive time after securing a 3-2 victory over Greenwood International in the finals of the CISCE Under-17 Pre-Subroto Football Cup. St. Joseph's Boys High School Under-16 cricket team emerged as the winners of the Cottonian Shield at the Inter-School Cricket Tournament 2022. Triathlon 2023, a single non-stop event comprising 50-meter swimming, 2.5 kilometer cycling and 1.2 kilometer running race, had the competitors display their stamina. Mr. Hakimuddin Habibullah, Old Boy and Olympian swimmer, graced the annual aquatic meet. The school was happy to get back to all its activities in full swing. The iconic Annual Athletic Meet 2022 was successfully conducted despite the unprecedented heavy rains that held Bangalore hostage. Dr. Kumar Dev Arvind Rajamanya and Mr. Ashish Ballal were the chief guests for the opening and closing ceremonies respectively. The chief guest for the primary athletic meet was Miss Veda Krishnamurthy. The PTA AGM was held and the members of the executive committee were selected. The guest speaker was Dr. Supraja Chandrasekhar, Consultant Pediatric Intensivist, Manipal Hospital. Pre-primary annual day, the Rhythm of India was a riot of colour and sound. The chief guests were former Vice Principal, Mrs. Miriam Angelo, and former Coordinator, Mrs. Jessie Virginia Mariappa. The pre-primary department had fun days with varied topics such as solar system and healthy lifestyle, among others. To encourage and celebrate the diverse cultures of India, the primary section conducted a session elaborating on Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh to make children aware of our rich heritage. Ms. Shruti Kuttappa Malik, a member of the Coorg Wildlife Society, educated the children about promoting and improving nature and wildlife. To make the grandparents feel loved and special, the pre-primary department celebrated Grandparents' Day, giving the little ones an opportunity to express their love for their grandparents. The events included a talent show, and the grandparents were given a chance to showcase their singing skills. On the occasion of World Environment Day, the theme being Only One Earth, the school took the initiative to foster a green earth by distributing seeds to all the students. The chief guest was Ms. Nayantara Jain, a marine biologist and executive director at Reef Watch Marine Conservation. The special invitees were Ms. Shubha Ramachandran, head of the water team at Biome Environmental Trust, and 2 Buddhist monks from the Mahabodhi Society of Bangalore. The students focused on the harmony of the mind, body and soul through the practice of yoga, and on empathy and compassion towards animals by showing kindness to the voiceless and practicing the motto, "Live and let live." It culminated in an interfaith prayer service to promote equality in all sections of society, create respect for all irrespective of caste, creed and ethnicity, and enlarge the vision and mindset of the young. To facilitate a harmonious and healthy body, mind and soul, the school celebrated International Yoga Day. Hindi Divas was celebrated with song, dance and poetry that celebrated the Hindi language. The school truly became a colourful, vibrant village during Gramina Utsava, the brainchild of Father Sunil Fernandes. This innovative program offered a unique experience to young and old alike. Among the dignitaries present was social activist Akkai Padmashali. The music show by the renowned Raghu Dikshit was much appreciated. Hiroshima and Nagasaki Day was observed to promote peace, reaffirm faith in diplomacy, and raise awareness about the catastrophic effects of the use of nuclear weapons on the world as a whole. The chief guest, Maruo Katsumasa, the Deputy Consul General of Japan in Bangalore, stressed the horrendous effects of the nuclear disaster and resolved to work with all like-minded nations to rally against nuclear proliferation. Mr. Guy Kedem, founder of the Israeli Freedom Movement in Israel, was a special invitee. In a solemn investiture ceremony, the newly elected office bearers received their badges. A mushroom cultivation workshop by Nuvedo Labs was held at the Loyola Technology Center. The guest speakers were the co-founders of Nuvedo Labs, Mr. Jashid Hamid, Mr. Shrikant Kalishwaran, and Miss Prithvi Kini. The students from St. Joseph's Boys High School, St. Joseph's School CBSE, and St. Joseph's Indian High School participated in this end-to-end, hands-on mushroom cultivation program. In an event to make the present and future generations sensitive to the need for a sustainable future, the Swiss Embassy conducted a workshop for classes 7 to 10 to make them conscious of renewable and non-renewable sources of energy and different practices to be followed to decrease our wastage of water and minimize our dependence on plastic. Celebrations infuse life with passion and purpose. They summon the human spirit. St. Joseph's finds ever so many reasons to celebrate, be it a national holiday or a day of special significance. The school celebrated the birthday of our much-loved principal, Reverend Father Sunil Fernandes, and got an opportunity to rejoice and express our gratitude and appreciation. We also celebrated the birthdays of our primary administrator, Reverend Father Vishal D'Souza, and the Vice Principal, Mr. Brian McCurtish. Patriotic fervour and national pride abounded when St. Joseph celebrated the country's 75th Independence Day with the joy and zeal of a proud, free nation. The chief guest, Major General M.N. Devaya, hoisted the tricolour. The cultural program echoed patriotic sentiments. The morning began by observing with reverence the Assumption of Our Lady with Holy Mass in the school chapel. The staff and students unfurled the Indian flag to mark the 74th Republic Day of our country. A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops, said Henry Adams, and rightly so, for teachers can change lives with just the right mix of chalk and challenges. The students put on a very entertaining show on Teachers' Day, which conveyed their appreciation and gratitude for their teachers. The PTA organized a grand lunch at Hotel Lalit Ashok. The teachers seized the opportunity to entertain the students on Children's Day with an impressive program. Their effort and enthusiasm clearly reflected their love and affection for their students. Festooned in the state colours of red and yellow, the school joyfully celebrated Kannada Rajyotsava, honouring a state that has contributed immensely to the rich culture and ethos of this country, with its towering rulers, its legendary warriors, its religious and social reformers, and its Jnanpith awardees. The chief guest for the occasion was the former vice principal and a scholar of Kannada texts, Mr. Uday Kumar. The school joined the entire nation to remember the father of our nation, Gandhiji. On his 153rd birthday, we acknowledged his courage, perseverance, and immense contribution, giving hope of freedom to people and countries across the globe. Constitution Day, Samvidhan Divas, was celebrated to commemorate the adoption of the Constitution of India. The Jesuit ethos favors the inclusion of all humanity in the social fabric in order to foster the common good. SJBHS, in collaboration with Bengaluru-based artist Mr. Sunil Koshi, celebrated the International Day of Persons with Disabilities to show their solidarity with the differently abled. 'Tis the season to be jolly. An enjoyable Christmas celebration included a special assembly, a carol singing competition, and a nativity scene put up by the UKG students. The entire school came together in humble gratitude, prayer, and celebration, eager to rejoice in Christmas gaiety. The staff enjoyed the festive fun and joy-filled carol singing. The program ended with a splendid Christmas lunch. Christopher Rego, an old boy chronicling the history of the school in his book Faith and Toil, said, "No account can possibly encompass all the eminent Josephites, and such an endeavour is bound to fall woefully short with the magnitude and sheer breadth of their achievements." The Indian Air Force, the OBA and SJBHS together honoured the supreme sacrifices of two war heroes, Flight Lieutenant Babul Guha from 1 Squadron IAF and Flight Lieutenant Krishna Kumar Mohan from 26 Squadron IAF. The ceremony was graced by Justice Arindam Sinha, High Court of Odisha, Air Marshal Manavendra Singh, PVSM, AVSM, VC, ADC, Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Headquarter Training Command, other dignitaries, and the family members of our two war heroes. The Air Force Motivation Bus, showcasing an array of items that ranged from models of fighter jets and Air Force carriers to the highly specialized G-suits meant for high-altitude flights of the fighter pilots, and a flight simulation station enthused the students to consider a possible career in the armed forces. The Loyola Technology Center, sponsored by Thomas Teketala, Old Boy, batch of 1977, under the aegis of the Learn for Life Foundation and the Joy Thomas Foundation, was launched on August 8th and formally inaugurated on December 16th. The chief guest was the Honorable Governor of Karnataka, Shri Tawarchand Gehlot. The center aims to promote science, technology, engineering, and math (STEM) education. As part of the guest series workshops, the first guest lecture was by Dr. Sujata Ramadurai, a mathematics researcher who served as a member of the National Knowledge Commission and was a member of the Prime Minister's Scientific Advisory Council. A first-of-its-kind museum celebrating and keeping alive 165 years of the rich and glorious history of the school was inaugurated by former principal Reverend Father Michael John S.J. The collection of old, rare and precious artifacts will showcase the school's illustrious heritage for generations to come. It has been listed in the Directory of Museums of India. Mr. Jimmy Uncle Saria, founder of the Uncle Saria Group, recipient of the J. Shipman Gold Medal, author of Supply Chain Cost Management, an old boy of the 1972 batch, addressed the ISC students. Architect Dilip Dikana, professor at Columbia University, an old boy of the 1973 batch, also interacted with the ISC students. Lieutenant General C. Bansi Ponnappa, AVSM VSM, Adjutant General, Army Headquarters, an old boy 1979 batch, delivered a motivational talk to the ISC students, followed by a question and answer session. It is said that education must assume full responsibility and enter the moral and spiritual lives of pupils. Moral and spiritual guidance has a very important place at St. Joseph's. 45 students from classes 6 to 12 enrolled for membership in the Christian Life community and were installed as members during the CLC inauguration. They were made aware of their role in the activities of the community, the responsibilities of living a value-based life, and the task of leading by example. Retreat and personality development programs as well as outreach programs were successfully held. The school organized an inter-religious meet exposing the children to the religious beliefs of different cultures while stressing that the essence of every religion is humanity. The students, along with their teachers and the primary school administrator, Reverend Father Vishal D'Souza, visited 6 places of different faiths. SJBHS conducted a basic computer science workshop for 18 Sahaya students chosen from PU colleges under the guidance of the Karnataka Jesuit province who are preparing for the civil services exam. Keeping health as a primary concern, a vaccination drive and a deworming day were organized with the help of the BBMP at the school. SJBHS, in association with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited Helicopter Division and Vigilance Department, observed Vigilance Awareness Week 2022. The Social Innovation Lab SEEF, Sustainable Environment Education Foundation, in collaboration with SJBHS, organized a field trip to the SEEF farm at Hoskote. 6 projects: rainwater harvesting, solar drying, organic gardening, composting, nutrition and menstruation, were presented by our ISC students to the Dream School Foundation students. Keeping in mind the holistic and pragmatic education that St. Joseph's imparts in the form of experiential learning, the school organized an outreach program for the students of Class 10. The theme of the program was Reaching the Unreached, and a seminar was conducted by Father Gerald D'Souza. 300 children from the underprivileged section from different study centers in Bangalore joined us for a day of fun. Old boys Mr. Anand Naik and Mr. David DeCosta were the chief guest and the guest of honor respectively. A variety of games and activities, a cultural program, and a sumptuous lunch made Balamela Makkala Habba memorable for the children. The theme for the mini-fete SJBHS Cares, Giving Unconditionally, enlightened the students on the joy and beauty of giving. The proceeds went a long way to bring Christmas cheer to the many beneficiaries and helped to ease their worries and suffering. Our principal, Reverend Father Sunil Fernandes SJ, led the graduating classes of classes 10 and 12 onto the SJBHS grounds. The solemn valedictory ceremony, following the unique tradition of the school, was especially symbolic and meaningful, leaving an indelible imprint in the minds of the graduating students. The chief guest was Mr. Prithvi Reddy, old boy, batch of 1986. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. At the Jose Excel and annual Prize Day functions, the hard work and perseverance of high achievers was acknowledged and rewarded. The OBA held a welcome to OBA for Standard 10 and 12 students. The United States Air Force Band of the Pacific performed live at the school auditorium and also conducted an extremely interactive workshop with a chosen group of 30 boys. The bands were all given a chance to perform. The staff took part in a well-conducted BJES Institution Day. The keynote address by Dr. Thimmappa Hegde was inspiring and well received. A staff retreat directed by Reverend Father Jossie de Mello SJ and a staff personality development program conducted by Shachi Irde were enlightening and appreciated. Karnataka Fire and Emergency Services Academy conducted a 2-day fire safety training for the staff members, which was educational and of vital importance. St. David's House emerged as the overall champions at the Intra-Staff Sports Meet Fiesta, which was introduced this year. Keeping in mind the all-round development of the staff, a wellness and well-being session was conducted by Dr. Rekha from Samagra for the different units at SJBHS. In a much looked forward tea with fathers and brothers of the Jesuit Nivas community, the teaching and non-teaching staff got a wonderful opportunity to interact with the rector and other members of the community. The Jesuit program of SJBHS and Pannur Manvi was led by our staff members. The interaction with the staff and students of Loyola institutions Pannur Manvi was mutually enriching and beneficial. In line with the Jesuit ethos of Cura Personalis, a 2-day workshop understanding the autism spectrum disorder and supporting them in the classroom was conducted for the teachers of the pre-primary department. The guest speaker was Ms. Prija Balan, PhD Speech Language Pathology, who is the co-founder and director of the Octave Hearing and Speech Center. A talk on how the mind works by Mr. Ian Faria, an old boy and former OBA president, who is a corporate trainer and leadership coach, enlightened teachers about the latest theories and practices in neuroscience. At the general staff meeting, 4 retiring staff members, Mr. Brian McCurtish, Mr. Shiv Prakash, Mrs. Gauri Achanta, and Mrs. Veena Pinto, were felicitated. 3 teachers and 2 administrative and support staff were the recipients of the Ollapalli Awards. We sorrowfully bade farewell to Mr. Richard Fernandes, who passed on after 19 years of dedicated service in the school chapel. While wrapping up the activities and meetings for the academic year, we gave thanks and prayerfully gravitated towards Holy Week. Action and adaptability create opportunity. To keep pace in a fast and constantly evolving world, teachers' training sessions, parenting sessions, and workshops for students are held. Regular PTMs, remedial classes, the use of the digital library, and the junior wing of the Cubs, in addition to the Scouts and NCC, have been incorporated into the curriculum. The academic year 2021-22, exciting and challenging, has paved the way to a new year 2022-23. As we conclude, we take this opportunity to thank our collaborators, the OBA and the PTA, the parents, and all our well-wishers. As we stand on the threshold of crossing one more milestone, embarking on yet another journey of surprises, ready to face new challenges and make new strides into the future, we recall the words of the great visionary Saint Ignatius of Loyola, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wounds, to toil and not seek rest, to labor and not to ask for any reward, save that of knowing that we do thy will.